Welcome to tonight's awesome retro review, guys. This is What If, the first series, issue 46 from 1984. And this is What If Spider-Man's Uncle Ben Had Lived. This is written by Peter B. Gillis with art by Ron Frenz and Sam De La Rosa. And instead of seeing Ben get killed, you see Aunt May get killed. And it seems like it would not have such a massive effect because Uncle Ben was kind of like my Uncle Bobby. He was like a second father to me. And honestly, he's the one that showed me about comics and helped me get started when I was 9. He and I used to spend almost every Saturday together. My father worked as a dock worker. And so when he wasn't working at night, I was sleeping. And then at that point, I was too young to go and help he and my brother cut a yard or two. But my uncle showed me the world of imagination. He showed me how important stories can be, so I can understand about Peter Parker and his connection with Uncle Ben. But I can also understand about Peter Parker and his connection with Aunt May. So I always thought they were somewhat interchangeable until I read this story. And you get to see a different side of things. Like Flash comes over with Betty Brant and Felicia and Harry Osborn and some of the gang to see Peter, but Peter's not home. Well, whereas Aunt May would have pshawed and you know, I can't believe Flash Thompson and his arrogance. Instead, Ben gives a different approach, a masculine approach to it instead of a feminine approach. And he says, you know, Peter respects you guys and envies you. And he even likes you, Flash, although I can't see why. And he kind of dresses Flash down right there in front of his gang. Not his gang, but his gang of friends. And you get to see him go and stand up to J. Jonah Jameson, which is something that Peter never wanted Aunt May to find out about what happened. But eventually Ben is smart enough to figure it out. Not that May isn't, but May's priorities are different. May's priorities have always been, you know, oh, he's such a growing boy, but he's so skinny and so slender and so slim. Here, have a couple of wheat cakes. It'll fatten you up and strengthen you. Ben sees the resilience, the strength, the anger in this young man, and instead of offering him something to eat, he offers him good fatherly advice. And he says, you know, we got to talk about this because I found this costume. And so they sit down and he says, you know, I could have done something, but I didn't. And instead of getting angry at Peter for the loss of Ben, or actually for the loss of May in this instance, then you see Ben get upset with himself and he says, I'm just a useless old man. I should have saved my own wife, and I didn't. And he finally gets tired of J. Jonah Jameson browbeating Spider-Man's name in the Daily Bugle, so they go to join forces, and Ben goes down there and tells Jonah off and says, you know, he's doing this for a good cause. And eventually he has Peter unmasked for J. Jonah Jameson. Now, I'm not going to go through the rest of the story and, you know, beat by beat, but this is a very different take on, you still get the power, you still get the responsibility, you still get, with great power comes great responsibility. But instead of getting coddled He is molded into the same man that he becomes with May. But he goes about it in a different way. And you still get to see the Green Goblin, you get to see Octopus, you get to see Sandman, you get to see all of these great favorite characters. But Peter deals with them a little bit differently. Not more violently. It's still a very simple time that is represented in this book. It's meant to represent, the 60s when Peter was created. It was meant to still show that innocence of that time that we go back and look at and try to figure out, where we lost that innocence and why Spider-Man stories have to be so dark and there always seems to be loss and pain. And instead we get these stories here in this one big oversized book. It was $1 for 1984. And I want to say books were still 65 cents, something like that. So it's pretty much a double-sized issue. And we get an even better understanding of who Peter Parker is. So I want to say that if Nick Lowe and the current regime that are running the Spider-Man books have never read this particular issue, if they want to understand who Peter is, his dynamic with Ben had been survived, and what kind of man Peter has become in this book, they would understand why he's not connecting with the current crowd right now. Why we don't love the stories that are being told, because it's not the Peter Parker that we know and love. He's not the same character. Now, I heard Wes and Thinking Critical talking the other day to Doc about, another Doc, about how the never give up, never say die attitude was very prevalent in this past week's Amazing Spider-Man number 8. I didn't particularly care for that book because I saw his never say die attitude. But if you want to see that never say die attitude put to better, stronger use, go read Howard Mackey and John Romita Jr.'s Peter Parker Spider-Man number 98 from back in 1996. There you get to see him hold up the Daily Bugle just long enough to let everybody get out and be safe. So, I guess what I'm trying to say, guys, if you don't really care for today's Amazing Spider-Man or any of the books that he's in, maybe give this a try. I think I found this for maybe a couple of dollars years ago. I don't know if it's worth any more now. But to me, it's one of the best Spider-Man stories that I have read in quite a while. And I think you guys would really, really enjoy it. All right, guys. Look, if you get entertainment and if you get value out of this channel, then hit that like button. It's the least I think you can do if you get that value out of this channel, because that's what I'm here to provide. I'm not here to spout off my own, thoughts, and I'm not running for president is what I'm trying to say. Okay, that's not the purpose of this channel. The purpose of this channel is to provide you guys with really great entertainment, talking about these old books, new books, big books, little books, movies that are coming out, that sort of thing. That's what this channel is for. So, like I said, if you see the value inherent in this channel, go ahead and hit that like. Go ahead and subscribe, and you've got a lot more content just like this coming up. All right, thanks guys and ladies. Y'all have a wonderful Friday, and we'll catch you later.